Good evening, Keller Williams, and welcome back to the KW Command 66-Day Challenge 3.0. Today is day 50, and boy, is it nifty. So today is a wildcard day, and we actually have a brand new design within the Designs editor that I want to show you that is super exciting. Having spent some time working through it, kind of checking it out, can't wait to share it with you guys. So we're going to start by selecting Designs. We're going to click on the plus sign, and this is actually a print design that we now have access to. So we're going to click on the plus sign down in the bottom right, and then choose print and next. And if you don't see it, well, now you see it. Buyer consultation now available as a template to choose from within KW's WeBrand editor. So pretty exciting stuff. If you don't see this, do a refresh, clear your cookies, go incognito, stand on one leg, whatever you got to do in order to get that to show up. Here is the buyer consultation in order to, or now in templates. Okay, so we're actually going to walk through the classic version. Modern version will be similar things that you need to change, but we're going to start with the classic version. Now the 30 means it's actually 30 pages long. Okay, so we're going to want to click on use to start off and bring in the editor so that we can begin editing the template for this buyer presentation. Okay, so we're going to start off on the left hand side. Now you have a new option. Typically you only had these 5. Now you have templates where this is a multi-page template. So this is actually a template for page 1, a template for page 2, so on and so forth. Instead of showing 30 pages down here, it's actually a 1-page template that's then followed by another 1-page template, and so on and so forth. So in order to get this to actually show up in the editor, I have to actually click on it, and then it's going to bring in this 1-page template into the editor. Okay. Obviously here on the first page, I need to go in and change first name or last name. I found the easiest way to edit these text boxes is to click on the text box and then come up to this icon. I jokingly today in class called it kind of a half-eaten Hershey's bar or a half-unwrapped Hershey's bar, but this is the actual typewriter icon. So if you click on it, then you get first name, and I can just type in Marty and come down and save changes. Okay, then I can go to last name, click on the typewriter again. I can put in my last name and save changes. And then you can see there's Marty Miller. Now it looks a little weird, that's spaced out, so I might click on Miller. I might use the left arrow so I make sure it's still lined up the same way. And I'll just start hitting that left arrow key on my keyboard until it's nice and lined up the way I want it to. A couple more strokes, maybe one more time over. And there you go, there's Marty Miller. Okay. Obviously I got to get rid of KWDBA name. That is not my DBA. Okay, so I want to come over here and I'm actually going to delete that out. Let me see if it'll let me replace it with a logo. It will. So I'm going to actually click on this logo and I'm going to come over here and actually replace it using the replace logo option with my logo. Okay, so it makes it a little off-centered. So I can do a couple of things. I can basically just move that up. Now it's going to cover my name, right? So you can see my name, you can no longer see. So to get rid of that, all I need to do is come over to arrange, and I just want to send that to the bottom. And now when I clicked on send to bottom, you can see my name now shows up above it. Royals Realtors, that's actually a logo for the team name. So here's my actual team. So I can actually get rid of Royals Realtors by clicking on delete. And then I can drag my logo. I should be able to drag it. It's probably too big for that actual placeholder. So let me delete that. Let me see if I go back to logos, if I drag it over. No, it won't do that. Okay, so I'm just going to get rid of the placeholder down here at the bottom. And then I'm going to make my logo much smaller. Okay, and then I'm just going to kind of line it up next to KW Platinum, make sure that it works. Depending on your logo, you know, you got to make sure that it fits the best way possible. So there's my logo lining up with the Platinum logo. Now page 1 is finished. Okay, so I can go back to templates, and here is the second template. It's kind of page 2, but it's the next template that's available. Now, these are kind of the instructions for using this template. You can kind of, anytime you can't view on your monitor, you have the ability to come down here at the bottom. You can click there and actually choose a different size. If that's still too small, you can choose an even bigger size, or you can always just keep clicking on this plus sign, the plus magnifying glass, to zoom in. First thing it tells you is to remove this page before use. Okay, so in order to do that, I'm going to come down to the pages icon down here at the very bottom, and I can see this is page 2. In order to remove it, I can click on this down arrow and then the trash can, and that will remove that page. But first I want to read it, right? What does it actually say before I get rid of it? So let me minimize that. And now you can kind of go through the instructions. Here's what the instructions are. Here's the different ways you can handle neighborhoods, the different ways you can handle the profile builder, the different ways to handle financing. And there's a note about Keller Mortgage, right? And then at the very bottom, this is really important. Hey, if you don't make any edits, it's not going to look good. Bottom line, okay? In sections where numbers are included, feel free to choose the best value story for you, whether that's your business, your market centers, KWRI, or all three. If you have any issues, right? If you need assistance obtaining any of these numbers, get with Market Center leadership and they will help you track down those numbers. That'll make sense when we get to that numbers page, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and click on pages again, and I'm going to get rid of that page. No longer need it, okay? So if I hit the trash can, it should take away that template and bring me in page 3. It doesn't look like it's doing it though for some reason. Let me see if I can do that one more time. And trash can, do you want to delete design number 3? Yes, I do. Now it's gone, right? So it's no longer in my template, okay? Next page, just minimize these pages, and you can see I've got to come in, I've got to drop in my logo again. I want to change client name. I want to change the DBA. It also down here underneath the DBA, if you click on that, let me zoom in even further, right? It kind of pains me that it defaults to 75%, but you can see there's information down there. If I click on the typewriter, I can actually change the name of my market center and the address to my market center. Okay, so I want to make sure I update that. I would click on Save Changes, and then, or discard, right? Why is it let me do that? Let me get back into page 3. Is it locking up on me because I went typewriter on this one? Save Changes, discard. No, all right, well, let's click on Done. Don't do what I just did, right? Don't get in here, get into the typewriter and then change the page on the left-hand side because for some reason it looks like it kind of jacks it up. So let's do Save Changes. No, I don't want to do this. I don't want to actually get rid of it. All right, so there we go. So I was able to save the edit here. I'm going to change the client name. I'm going to put in my team logo, my DBA, my headshot, my name, and then my contact information. So again, remember, now this is a template that you're going to change once. You're going to go through and change everything that's required of you with regards to your logo, your DBA. However, in the future, you won't have to do that again because you can just reuse this template and change the information pertinent to the client and not have to redo all this stuff that's pertinent to you and your business, okay? Table of contents, the next template, kind of walks you through what's included. Nothing we really need to edit there. Next, you're going to see a sound decision, just kind of an opening welcome letter. Nothing you really have to change there. Now, if you want to change any of these photos, you have that ability to. You could always go into Images, Company, KW Stock Images, and then you can see a whole plethora of images that they have actually included for you. So for any reason you just wanted to change it out, you could. I would basically click on this image. I would come over here and say maybe I want to replace it with that one. Okay, so you have the ability to go in and change those images should you choose to. Now that I've made edits to this template, I want to come back to my templates and I want to go into the next page. Okay, your needs come first. This page starts to talk just kind of about, it's the initial walkthrough of what you want to talk to your client about. No changes that I've seen need to be made on that page. Build your preference profile. Okay, so let's start talking about what it would take to get you to move. And then on the right-hand side, what are your preferences? How do you like to be communicated with? How often and when do you want to be communicated with? Then you're going to go through a series of wish lists with their home. You've got 1 page, 2 pages, 3 pages, and 4 pages, all asking questions about their home. Okay, so really good questions. Once you get done asking those 4 pages of questions, you and your client should have a real good idea of the kind of home that they are looking for. Okay, next we get into neighborhood preference. And you can start asking them particular questions about their neighborhood or what they're looking to live in. Now, this one, you do need to add your website URL. Okay, so you do want to make sure that you come in here. I'll zoom in and you'll see it says, make my website your home base. And then it says to get started, your website URL. So you're going to want to come into the typewriter. And actually I missed the wrong thing. So let's save changes. I need to click on the URL. There we go. And then I can come into the typewriter. And in my example, I would just do martymiller.kw.com. Okay, and save changes. And that way they would know to get started, go to my specific website. Okay, it looks like there's something behind there. Let me see if I move this to the right. There we go. The word visit was hanging out behind my actual web address. So you might have to just move that over a little bit to then get it to say to get started visit and then martymiller.kw.com. Next page, getting to know the neighborhood. Okay, so there's going to be some information here just kind of about, okay, well, here is information. Your neighborhood is an extension, yada, yada. Another place right here that I need to update, right? It says your website URL. So you got to pay really close attention to this when you're going through and making the edits, because it would just look silly, right, to have something that said your website URL when we know that's not a real URL. So there's mine, martymiller.kw.com. Next template is map your move, right? So nothing that needs to be changed on here. However, when we get into the next template page, we start getting into the neighborhood insights. Okay, so you do have the ability to come in here, okay? We're gonna go into KWLS, and instead of looking for a listing, we're gonna look for a snapshot. So let's choose snapshot. The neighborhood that I live in is called Fawn Lake, Pine Lakes. That's just how Nextdoor has named it, even though it's actually 2 neighborhoods. So I can search by neighborhood name, and here it is, Fawn Lake, Pine Lakes, and Katy, Texas. So if I click on that, you're going to see I get a few options down here that show up. Okay, now if I want to replace this snapshot image with this one, I can click on it and then come over to Fawn Lake, Pine Lakes and replace it. From there, I would have to come in and start entering text into each one of these boxes. This is the only miss that I have seen so far. Now, if you're printing this, you could write it in by hand. You could actually put in all the information via hand, but I don't really care for that, just to be blunt. So instead, what I would recommend doing is actually dropping in this vertical snapshot, right? So I'm going to click on this. I can't replace, I can replace it. So I'm going to replace it. However, it looks kind of funny because it doesn't all show up, right? So I'm going to click on the image and then I'm going to start to drag down. And you can see if I move it down, right? So I can move it, keep it in that box, and then drag back up to the top. And now it looks a little bit better. I'm going to get rid of that Barton Hills text box here at the top, delete that out. And now, right, I have a snapshot for Fawn Lake, Pine Lakes. I might come in here personally and just get rid of this text box altogether. This also gives me the opportunity to have more than just 2. Okay, so let's say the next neighborhood that they were interested in was the Falls at Green Meadows. I'm pretty sure that that's what it's called. Okay, so here's Falls at Green Meadows. So let's say Hyde Park, they're not interested in that. That's not their neighborhood. They don't want that. Okay, so I'm going to click on this photo and delete it. And I'm going to then replace it. It's not letting me delete it for some reason, but that's okay. I'm going to end up replacing it anyway with this. Okay, so there's replace image. Let's get rid of that text box at the top. let's click on this arrow here to drag it up a little bit to the very top. Let's click on the bar at the bottom, drag it down. And then once I get this cross icon, I can click and then drag down. And I'm going to drop that one right there. And then let's just say for some reason they're also looking at Cinco Ranch Greenway Village. Okay, so here's Cinco Ranch Greenway Village. I can click on it, and I can actually drop a third one in. If I click on the plus sign, it'll add it. Then I just need to resize it to match the other ones, right? And I can then drop that one right next to it. And now I have 3 neighborhoods that they have looked at, and I've got all of the insights, the basic insights for those neighborhoods. Now, unfortunately, our MLS is not providing average sold price right now, and yet it still gives me a pretty good beginning of insights for this page. I could then actually come down to the notes section. I could go to text. I could say I want to add body text. It's going to drop in a text box right in the middle, and then I could come down here and I could resize this text box to fit the area I need to fit it in and start using the typewriter to type in text. Okay, so these are all master plan communities in the Katy area. Fawn Lake, Pine Lakes, and the Falls are all in Old Katy, north of I-10. Cinco Ranch Greenway is south of I-10. Whatever notes you're putting in, right? So then I could click on Save Changes. The notes are a little big. Maybe I want to change that font size so they fit nicely in that box. I'll change it to 14, maybe 16-point font. Okay, so now you can see that my notes then show up in the box. If I want to, I can click the down arrow a few times, make sure they're nice and centered there in the box. Cool? So that's the neighborhood insight template. I would then go to the templates page, and I'm going to just keep on moving, right? So next it says, all right, how buying a home works. This next template, I haven't seen anything that needs to be changed within it, but you can see it, right? And then it's a second page of what's the buying process look like, additional steps, 5, 6, 7, 8, okay? And again, it says stay in touch with your agent for current or future recommendation in regard to your home. You might want to come in and just change this text box that says stay in touch with me, right? That was the only thing. I clicked on the wrong one. I apologize. It's this text box at the top. So it says stay in touch with your, I still missed it, discard. So what happens, this is why you want to zoom in. You can so zoom in. There we go. Now it says stay in touch with your agent and split over 2 boxes. I'm not sure why, but I would just get rid of this. I would save that change, and then I would come into this other text box that says with your, and I would change with your to with me. Okay, so it just says stay in touch with me, save those changes, and now it says stay in touch with me for current or future recommendations. All right, so there's that aspect there. The next page talks about financing. You can check it out, right? It talks kind of about the information and the steps, the do's and the don'ts, and what to have on hand in order to get approved. Home loans made simple. This is a page that kind of focuses on Keller mortgage. So again, we talked about you don't have to include this page. If you do, you must include the affiliated business agreement that's at the end. I would actually take out this yellow box and this text. If you don't live in New York, you're not going to use the page. Or if you live in New York, you're not going to use the page. If you don't live in New York, it doesn't apply to you. So I would take out that box altogether personally. Next, I come into real value, real expertise, and now I have to start doing the edits, and this is where those numbers came into play. So I'm going to change the headshot here. I'm going to change the information underneath the headshot to represent my information. I'm going to change the DBA. Not sure why it's not letting me zoom. Okay. I'm going to change the DBA. I'm going to change the logo. I'm going to change these numbers to match my numbers. Okay, so how many years have I been in? How many clients, repeat clients, clients served in 2019, etc. Next page, competitive advantage. Again, more data that we're going to want to have to come in and then find out the answers to all of these numbers. Okay, so if I click on zoom in a little bit further, you can see on the screen there, the bottom, the proof is in my number, and then start figuring out all of these conversion ratios or actual numbers. Okay. Last, your trusted partner. This one I didn't see any edits that have to be made. It just kind of talks about you and what happens when they hire you. The page after that is reviews or recommendations or evaluations. You can't just come in here and change your name to your name because they didn't say this about you. So you would actually have to come in here and change this entire paragraph by clicking on typewriter, get rid of this, and then put in whatever your reviews have been from 3 or 4 people that have reviewed you. I think it was 3, right? Yeah, so 3 different reviews. You would come in and write your own reviews in here and then name who the person was that actually wrote the review. Okay, so you would want to edit that. Again, if you don't have any reviews yet, if you're a brand new agent, it's okay. You can take this page out, right? Just remember, I just come to the page. This is page 22, so I'm going to scroll all the way down to 22, click on this down arrow, and I can garbage this or trash can it, get rid of it if I don't have any reviews quite yet. A promise to you, generic, talks about things that are going to happen when they get to work with you. There aren't any edits. Of course, if you want to edit any of this, you always can. You can click on it, come to the typewriter, and then change what it says, okay? But if you like the way it's written, and it is well written, then you can just roll with it. A promise to the community talks about Red Day, kind of how KW gives back, enriching our community and community service, okay? And then you get to the bottom line. Now this page actually has room for your signature. If you don't have an electronic signature, then just click on the box and click on delete. Click on a placeholder and click on delete again. Get rid of that signature, okay? Otherwise, you could just put your name. If you have your name in a fun font, whatever else, you can do any of those types of things, okay? We're going to continue down and commonly used terms, right? So this continues to kind of help your client. These are leave behinds or take with you, just kind of depends on what you need to do. And then you're going to get to the last or second to last page, and again needs to be edited with all of your information. Here's how you can get in touch with me. And then finally, this is the affiliated business arrangement disclosure. If you're going to leave that Keller Mortgage page in, you do have to fill this out. So to, and then from, and then the date, okay? And then this is to give you notice that placeholder, right? You need to get rid of placeholder and actually put in your name, okay? So that they know that you have a business relationship with Keller Mortgage, right? And then you would actually have them sign that at the bottom and then just keep it in your records. If you haven't taken the Keller Mortgage training class, you'll understand that anytime you have a discussion with somebody about Keller Mortgage, it's just really important that they understand that as a Keller Williams agent, obviously you're affiliated with Keller Mortgage. It really benefits them more than it benefits you, but it's just something that has to be signed so that they understand, right, that Keller Mortgage and you have a relationship. Now I've gone through all of the pages. I know this is a long video, guys, and I appreciate you sticking with me. Now that I have done all of these, right, I can come up here and change this untitled design. I want to delete that out, and that's going to say buyer's presentation, right? And it might say January 2020. Okay. So then I can do file, and I want to save it. Okay. I spelled presentation wrong. Presentation. There you go. And file save. And then I can start downloading it from there. I can say I want the PDF. I want all of the pages that I saved. I want high resolution print quality, and I want to download. Once I've downloaded it, I can then print it. Okay. Now here's the cool thing. Once this is actually downloaded, I can click on done to go back into KW Command. Okay, so this is going to take me back into designs. Now let's fast forward a week from now, and I have a new buyer appointment that I want to go on a presentation with. I don't have to start from scratch. I can actually come back into my template and click on this template, it's going to pull it up. And remember all of those changes that we made with our logo, our headshot, our address, etc., etc., etc. Well, you don't have to make those changes anymore, right? You can actually just come in, and now all you have to change, well, for some reason it's not showing the edits. So that might be a small glitch. Typically, once you've made the changes, because I know I made those changes to my name on this template, right? You guys remember seeing my first name on here. So for some reason, let's see if I pull down and close the pages out. Okay, there it is. It's just not showing in the template, but it does actually show here on the actual page. Okay, so it shows the changes that I've made. It just doesn't show it in the actual template. So all of those changes you've made, now all you would have to do is come in here and change the things that are specific to your client, your buyer's name, the neighborhoods they're looking for. If your stats have changed from month to month, you could go in and edit the stats. But otherwise, there's not a lot to change once you do it the first time and build out this template. So guys, a long video, but super exciting. I'm super excited about this buyer's guide. I think it is very well done and will definitely make you look that much more prepared. When you show up with this, I would recommend printing it on high quality paper. Make sure you have a high quality printer. You may even bind this instead of just staple it. Actually use some sort of binding tool to bind it so that you have that available. And I actually might print out a second copy of the home wish list part so that you're actually filling that out, the preferences and home wish list. Print a second copy of that, just that section, so you can write down their answers and take it with you while you leave behind the nice bound copy. So that's just my recommendation. All right, guys, that's it for today. I hope you had a fantastic day. I hope you found day 50 super exciting as I did. And as always, I'll look forward to speaking with you tomorrow. Thanks so much.